This is Hartford Whaler Nation.
Hey, welcome to another edition of Whaler Nation TV. I'm your host, Peter Hindle from Examiner.com. Jerry Irwin's not here tonight. He's on assignment. We've got a lot going on. One of the things we want to talk to you about tonight, which is, most of the big news, is that the Whaler Nation group is going to invade Nassau Coliseum. There's a group of people comprised of the Booster Club and some other members who are going to go ahead and purchase a bus to rent and drive that down to Nassau Coliseum on February 8th. It's a Saturday for a 7 p.m. game to see the Islanders versus the Colorado Avalanche. And as you know, the Colorado Avalanche currently have John Sebastian Jaguar on their roster, and that is the last Whaler to play in the NHL, last active Whaler. As you know, he was drafted by the Whalers and played about 8 games for the Whalers. Very, very short time. But he does remember his time. He did say that, he'll never forget Hartford and start there. It was where he began his career. He's 36 years old now and is currently the backup goaltender for the Colorado Avalanche. And he's working with his hero, his mentor, his coach, Patrick Waugh, who we all know is infamous in Whaler history as the goalie who, as a rookie, took the Whalers to 7 games and beat them in the second round of the '86 Adams Division semifinal. But this is a big event for Hartford. We're making an attempt to go down to Nassau and show a presence. Try to get some attention. If you remember, on January 4th of this year, there was a trip to Nassau to see the Islanders versus the Hurricanes. And that actually got good reviews. There was people went down on their own. People from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island. And it was rumored to be about maybe a couple hundred Whaler fans in the auditorium that day, but they weren't congregated into one area, so it was not exactly a unified effort. But it was noticed. It was picked up by USA Today, where they mentioned it as a mini invasion. So upon hearing that, people are excited about the Whalers. They're excited about what the governor has had to say in terms of his interest in bringing a team. Although it's not a full force effort, he has said that the state will be interested in a team if the opportunity arises. And of course, if all the ducks in a row, at least he's not looking at the taxpayers paying for a $400 million arena that would be needed, which would house UConn basketball, hockey, but also to get to the point where we could have a new arena, because the XL Center, of course, is turning 40 years old. There's some issues with the building. We know that there's a 10-year contract with Global, the current company that runs the XL Center, and the building is just outdated. It's one of the oldest in the country. So the arena issue is going to become more perplexing for the state as we move on. We've got a governor election coming up, so we don't really know, what the next governor is going to feel like. But just to hear the governor go from where he was last year, saying, it was a remote chance for the NHL, and then this year saying that, there is some interest from the state on, returning to the NHL. You've seen the lottery commercials. The lottery scratch ticket that came out for the Whalers. If you notice, the numbers on the ticket match the players that are, these lottery scratch tickets, if anything, have gotten bigger. We've seen a lot more commercials. There's commercials on TV, commercials on radio, and even the City Steam, which is a great a bar downtown Hartford that brews their own beer, and they have it's famous Brownstone on Main Street in Hartford. They are going to have Jeff Sanderson attend an event there, which is sponsored by the Connecticut Lottery. So now the Connecticut Lottery has gone out and got Jeff Sanderson, who we all know wore number 8, was the speedy sniper for the Whalers in the 90s. I believe he's currently an NHL scout, but definitely was a big-time Whaler back in the day. And he's going to be in Hartford. So there's a lot of attention being brought to it, and that's why I think that the Booster Club the Hartford Whalers Booster Club got involved in trying to get a group down to Nassau so that we could show a united front or show some interest. The Islanders have been very friendly, from what I've heard. The people that are running this group to go down to Nassau, I said the Booster Club. There's also Michael Glasson, who runs the Whaler Watch Twitter page. He's got over 7,000 followers. And Christopher Beers, who you can read on the Hartford Whaler message board. Those are the two guys that you can talk to about being involved. Right now, there's a Hartford Whaler Booster Club meeting going on as we're filming this show. And I spoke to Michael Glasson before the show, and he told me that there was quite a large crowd at the Booster Club meeting, so there's a lot of interest. And I believe at this time that they have about 25 seats already sold on that bus. And it's a 54-person seat bus. So we're about halfway there to get that bus full. And our whole point would be to sit together in one section. And I guess what I'm hearing is that the price to go down to this event with the Booster Club in this bus is going to be $85, and that $85, I'm told, will get you a seat on the bus, and will also get you a lower bowl ticket in a large group of Whaler fans. So, the feedback I'm getting from people is that they're very excited about it, really looking forward to it. There's even a hope that if this bus sells, that it's possible to get a second bus, but we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. And I feel like even after this trip on February 8th, that there even be more trips. Possibly, it would be interesting to go to Montreal with a group of Whaler fans, because it's a little different when you go into a building where you used to be a rival. Long Island is like I said, been very friendly. The Islanders, from what I hear, are going to allow a meet and greet after the game if we bring down 50 Whaler fans. So, that's pretty nice of them. And from what I understand, the Nassau Coliseum, is another one of those arenas that's outdated, but we'll be able to enjoy some of the amenities and meet some of the Islander fans. And from what I hear from the January 4th game that the people went to, see the Islander fans were very friendly. It's usually a lot of positive feedback when you see Whaler jerseys in the arena. So, that's a good thing. I don't think we're planning on going to Boston, but you never know, so going to Bruin country. From what I hear, though, the Bruins would like the Whalers back. Jeremy Jacobs, the owner of the Bruins, has said he would not mind a Whaler franchise in Hartford at all, as it would cut back on the travel. We've heard, Glenn Sather say the same thing to the Baldwins, that that they're not impeding any NHL problems here. So the territorial issue in Hartford may not be an issue at all. As most teams kind of like the idea of having another team in the Northeast. It cuts down on a lot of travel, it cuts down on a lot of issues that you have to deal with players and moving through the AHL, things along those lines. So, by far, I'm not saying that this road to the NHL is at an end. If anything, you're just getting the pavement down on it. So this is a start, and it's a good thing to have. Because, like I said, if you're getting a little bit backing from the state, as we've seen now, that's important. Investors see that, and there's things in Hartford that could make a decent NHL city again, which would be great, because it's been 17 years since the last time that the NHL was in Hartford. And just bringing back a person like Jeff Sanderson or any NHL players, it's something it's not in the XL this year. If you remember, the Baldwins brought back plenty of Whalers when they were running the team as the Connecticut Whale. But as the teams return to the Wolfpack, there's been limited exposure to the Hartford Whalers within the arena. And, I think attendance has suffered a little bit, maybe because of that. It's possible that, the team's play is put a large factor into the reason the attendance. The Wolfpack is not doing well. They're currently in last place in the division. We just got through a road weekend where they played 3 games. They played in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton on Saturday. They played in Worcester on Friday night, and they played in Bridgeport on Sunday. They lost to Wilkes-Barre, Scranton. They lost to Worcester. They lost to Bridgeport just 6-3 the other day. So, it's been a kind of a rough year for the AHL, as the Wolfpack looks to possibly miss the playoffs for the first time in back-to-back years. Before that, they only missed the playoffs twice. So that's going to be an issue for the AHL. It's not going to be a spring where you're going to see a deep playoff run. So we're looking at that as kind of an issue, to try and because I believe the AHL can be a motor towards the NHL. But that's just not being the case this year as it is. So we're hoping that maybe some large attendance will help out some of the issues in Hartford, because right now I think Springfield is only a few dozen fans above Hartford in attendance, and they're somewhere in the 20s of the AHL. So, I'm glad that the governor did mention that in one of his press conference on the 13th of December, when he spoke about the NHL returning. He was saying that UConn going into the Hockey East was a catalyst for all this, as in terms of we're going to get the biggest hockey league in college, Hockey East, that contains BC, BU, Maine, New Hampshire, big time hockey colleges are going to be playing UConn. And the issue is going to become that UConn needs an arena to play those games. The XL Center will suffice for a little while, but it's going to become an issue where we're going to need a larger arena. And these Hockey East schools bring a lot of people from outside of Hartford, so they travel with a lot. We just had the UConn tournament a couple weeks ago, just before the beginning of the year, and attendance for that was pretty fair, considering it was 4 games. It was UConn, Sacred Heart, it was Yale, and Quinnipiac. So that those 4 teams played, and I'm sorry, it was UMass, not Yale. But those 4 teams played, and attendance was in a couple thousands for each game, I'm hearing. So roughly 10 to 12 thousand people went to go see games, college games, and these were on Sunday and Monday afternoon. So it wasn't exactly prime time for games. Usually games are at night and they draw a little bit better. But in this case, there was afternoon games where they drew pretty well, considering UConn got beat bad in the first game, 3-0, and was able to win their second game 2-1 against UMass. So, and that was one of their Hockey East opponents. So, it'd be interesting to see, because the UConn can be another of those catalysts that can bring you towards the NHL, because you not only have the hockey, you've of course got the basketball. So those 2 things, and then an NHL team, and then you've got 3 teams playing in an arena, and plus your concerts, and and that's another important issue, is to bring those concerts in. You need something to keep the arena fed, as you have the Mohegan, and arenas around in the casinos in the area that have arenas, and they draw in sporting events. They've brought in the UConn women's tournament. So in order to compete, Hartford's going to need to possibly get that arena. But we're just doing what we can as the ground support. Going to this Long Island Nassau game will be an event that you won't forget it. And it's been a long time since we put a lot of Whaler fans together, and I see them out there on Facebook and on Twitter. As a matter of fact, when I tweeted out about this show, saying, were there any questions about the trip, or are you excited about going? And even Dennis House, who's an Emmy Award-winning anchor for WFSB, favorited the tweet. And he's a guy who's on board, and he's a transplant from Michigan. So he's a guy that believes in the Whalers, always has. And you'll notice on Face the State, he's got plenty of, where he's had John Buchagras on. He's had Andrew Doba, who works with the governor. He's had Michael Freemuth, who has said on Face the State that he believes the NHL regrets leaving Hartford, which I think is a very big words to use, especially when talking with Dennis House. It kind of maybe leans to, maybe he knows a little bit more about it. Maybe he knows how the NHL feels about it. There's a good feeling among fans, that the NHL is working with the state a little bit, and that they are, at least in one regard, because to get that Connecticut lottery ticket, they had to have worked with the NHL. It says right on it, copyrighted the NHL, the Whaler logo, which was once owned by the state, but now the NHL has the copyright to it as a former team, former logo, and it's still in the top 10 in sales. I believe Dennis House last pointed at around 5, and it's bounced between 5, 11, 7. But, for a team that's been gone for 17 years, you just can't say it enough. That something's definitely there for logo to be that powerful in the marketing plan, and it doesn't seem to be slowing down at all either. As we see it, it's being sold in other arenas for other teams. The brand seems to reach a long way, and as I've said, when I go traveling around the country, to Seattle, L.A., Vancouver, Nashville, any places. It's amazing how many responses I get, because I always will wear a Whaler cap or a Whaler jersey just to see if anyone's out there saying hello. And I usually do get a response. My wife is always shocked. She doesn't think that anyone knows who the Whalers are. But it's like I said, it's been a long time, and we still have a long way to go. I don't want to give the impression at all that the NHL is just around the corner, but I do want to give the impression that if people start getting involved and get more active and get into a movement to bring back the NHL, it can very well happen, and you could be seeing big-time hockey here again, which would be something we could all be pretty proud of as a city and surrounding area, because it's going to take people around the Hartford area to support this team. And you hope that when you do get the NHL, if it does come one day, that the team is competitive, because that's going to become another issue. That'll be the next hurdle, is how will the team do if they're not performing well, and what kind of management will you get? But that's, again, way down the road. We're just looking at trying to get back to where we were, and you can always count on the fact that pretty much sure that anybody who comes in here with a team is going to make the team called the Whalers, because it's just no other way that you can see it being as popular as it was. I can remember when I first went to the Excel Center, not really knowing much about hockey, and I think that's how kids sometimes get started, is they don't really know hockey until they see it. And if you see it in person, it truly is the greatest of all 4 or 5 major league sports to see in person. There's just nothing like it. And you don't really get that feel from TV like you do from in-person games, but you do. And there's also something different about hockey players. They're just a little bit more sociable, they connect a little bit more with fans, I believe. They're a little bit more down to earth, maybe. It's just, there's something about that. And you can see from the players that play here now for the AHL, they actually like Hartford. They really do. If you follow them on Twitter, you can see that they love the restaurants. They love being around Hartford. They appreciate the community, and it's something I've heard a lot from players. I've seen enough Whalers cry that even I've been surprised at that, because you feel like in Hartford you're kind of sandwiched between Boston and New York, and you are a smaller city, but you're still the 30th largest media market in the country, and that's something to say. There's 30 NHL teams, and there's 30 media markets. I mean, and we're the 30th, so that puts us, I think, in the math. I think that really does. So it'll, a lot of things do have to come together, because we, like I said, you're talking about construction, arenas, the state. You're talking about investors. You're talking about an owner or owners, and on top of that, you have to hope that they all come together to make this happen. So it's something to look forward to. And like I said, it's February 8th. If you want to look into that at all, you can do that by looking on Facebook. You can look there, or you can look on the Hartford Current Whaler message board if you want. There's some information there about the trip. The other thing that is in the news recently is just how well that Whaler scratch ticket is doing. Like I said, I think there's a little bit more to that, even though it's just a Connecticut lottery ticket. But it's just really ramped up with the advertisements. Either a lot of people are buying and losing, or buying and winning. It's one of those two. So there's definitely a lot of them. I myself bought several for Christmas, so didn't win much though. It was it reminded me a little bit of how the Whalers were in the early '80s. So, yeah, it's definitely something going on with how the NHL has been a little bit more interested. You're getting a little bit more interest on Twitter and feedback and social media. Nick Kiprios, who is a guy who's told us that there's some interest from owners and people with money believe in Hartford, which is great to hear. So what we can do is we have some Whaler highlights that we wanted to show to you, give you a little taste of the glory, a little of the good old days. Maybe fire you up. Maybe you'll watch that and remember how it used to be. So, but until then, we're one nation under green, and enjoy these highlights.
Sent to O'Neill behind the net. To Cron again. Cron curling around, looking for the open man. He looks to shoot. That's knocked away. Cron's got it back again. Minute left in the power play. Wesley deals it over to Burt. Burt sends it to Wesley again. To Cron. Cron took his shot. Hatchet, they score on the rebound. Camped out in front of the net. It was stuffed in by Keith Primo. Primo takes advantage of the power play situation, puts the Whalers on the board, and they trail now by 1.
Dominic Hasek made the initial save. But Primo, who is so big and strong, positions himself perfectly in front of the Buffalo goaltender, and Hartford end up scoring the goal. There's Primo. He got position on Mike Wilson, and it was a terrific shot from the point. And the Hartford Whalers score on the power play. It's 2-1 Buffalo. When you get in front of the net like that, you have to get position on those big forwards, particularly
Burke coming back again. Here's the spin move to leave it for Deneen. Deneen cruises in. Deneen to Sanderson, put it in front, and it jumped over the stick of Kapanen. Around to the boards again, less than a minute to go in the period. Back to the point, Lesishin's long shot is cleared away, but not out. Burke keeping it in. Burke got it in front. Deneen shot it wide, rebound on the goal line, and it's covered up a goal. They score. Dominic Hasek tried to stop that one from getting across the goal line. Obviously failed, and the Hartford Whalers have tied this game at 2.
It's Jeff Sanderson scoring his 8th goal. The puck was across the line by 2 or 3 inches. There's Sanderson as he backhands the puck. Now Hasek gets a piece of it, and the puck just trickles over the line. He reaches back with the blocker, but it's called a goal. A referee immediately signaled that the puck had gone in the net. And I've been watching Dominic, and I've watched him so often. He does not look sharp tonight.
Where is he? Rolling behind. Oh, he almost gave it away to Holzinger out in front. Ahead to Castles. Castles tipping it off into the corner. Sanderson charging in there. Flips it behind the net. Castles kicked it out of the air. Sanderson tried to roll it in front. Covered by Buffalo, but not out. On the other side, Featherstone booted it right back in. Looked back to the point. Chase took his shot. They score! Deflected in front of the net by Jeff Sanderson, who was camped there. And Sanderson got it by Dominic Hasek, his second of the night. And the Hartford Whalers have their first lead of the evening, 3-2.
And Jay McKee was upset at himself. He thought that he had the shot or the player covered in front. I'm not sure whether Sanderson deflected it, but he certainly played a major role. Watch, there's Sanderson as he goes to the front of the net, and the shot will come in right here as Sanderson gets back in position. And there's a deflection by Dominic Hasek. And the Hartford Whalers try to score, or go ahead, I beg your pardon, but you see the position that McKee had. He just wasn't in good position to defend the shot, but it was perfectly shot to the
Shannon. A long shot, deflected just on. Cleared off the boards, and with 15 seconds to go, the Whalers start away. Up ahead for Sanderson. Sanderson in over the line. Watched by Shipnick. Knocked down by Shipnick. Sanderson gets up again. Put it out in front. The shot, they score! Curtis Lesishin, in his first game as a Hartford Whaler, moves up with 4.6 seconds left on the clock and buries it behind Dominic Hasek to give Hartford a 4-3 victory here at the Civic Center.
What a play by Jeff Sanderson. As the Sabres could not take him off the puck all night, they cannot take him off the puck again. This is Sanderson carrying it into the zone. Zhipnik cannot control him. Sanderson gets up, and watch as Lesishin skates by Mike Pekka and beats Dominic Hasek. So poor coverage in the Sabres zone costs them the hockey game in overtime.
The Buffalo Sabres come to within 4.6 seconds of earning a point in Hartford, but go home with none.
One of the reasons why I came back was certainly the memories that I have of Hartford, and it is still strange to me that as many times, as long as I've been gone, when the World Hockey Association was going on, Hartford was the place that everybody wanted to come to.
Shortly after 4 o'clock this morning, 4:19 a.m. to be exact, the roof of the Coliseum portion of the Civic Center collapsed.
I got a call at like 6 in the morning from the radio station. He said, the guy said, well, the roof is collapsed. What do you think? Or what do you meant to say at 6 in the morning? I said, this is a prank. And I hung up. The guy called back. And then I knew it wasn't a prank.
The Whalers are home again. The Coliseum is completed. And the Phoenix did rise from the ashes. And Hartford will move on.
The 86 playoffs, that whole 7-game series, and of course the celebrated Kevin Dineen goal that sent it into the big 7th game. Exhilarating moment, a moment that literally blew the roof off of this building with the intensity. And I'd have to say that one goal and that one playoff series was the highlight to me.
He takes the hit from Lemieux as Anderson fires. Touches on it, and the Hartford Whalers have deadlocked this best-of-7 Adams Division final at 3 games apiece.
I can remember quite a few years ago, I'm not going to date myself, but we played a game against Buffalo to clinch a playoff spot after missing the playoffs a number of years in a row, and that was a team that was on the way up like this team, and I can remember scoring a goal to kind of clinch the game, make it, I think, a 2-goal game with about a minute left, and tonight reminded me a little bit of that game. So, the fans were just fantastic. They're a big part of that tonight.
Sanderson now looks it over. Shoot! Scores! Hey, what do you say, Jeff Sanderson? A big power play goal, and the Whalers lead it 3-2.
The years when the Edmonton Oilers were playing, like they won Stanley Cups. The Whalers beat them one Sunday afternoon here, 11-0, and they had like Mark Messier, Wayne Gretzky. I remember being a little kid with my dad. That was like the best win I've ever saw.
Tony Curry to center, right side for Crawford. Thinking alone a shot, a save, a rebound, a shot, and a goal! I don't know when I've seen such an explosion in this Hartford Civic Center.
It's a blur in a lot of ways when you look back. A lot of excitement. All the games, so often they're so close. And I can remember Blaine Stoughton scoring games one night. They came back from about 4 goals down in the last period and beat the Canadiens back when they were a new team in the league.
I remember when the Whalers, when they played at the Boston Garden, and when they was known as the New England Whalers before they changed their name to Hartford. And I remember when they first played in the old Boston Garden, before the Boston Garden that got demolished, but they had a wonderful team.
I can remember back in the early days, Mike Liu used to carry this team for like the first 5 or 6 years. They were like one of the worst teams, and they built themselves up. And finally in '86, they made the playoffs. And I remember Liu, just one night, he had like 50-something saves in a game one night. This place just went crazy.
I went to the Buffalo game earlier in the year, the first one, where Curtis Decision scored that goal. And it was really fun, considering that they won.
Dave Semenko, he used to play, one of the few guys who didn't play without a helmet, took one off the head, just kept playing, nothing happened. He was one of the hard-working players the Whalers used to have.
And I got interested in watching them. I used to go when the kids were smaller, and I just decided to start coming, and this past year has been one of the best. I've had so many good times, so much fun. I've met so many people, so many fans that have been fans since day one, and it's just been a wonderful experience.